Hi, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of Love Like This. Because this is a real-ass show, some real-ass shit happened when it started. Orlando and I got into a slight argument, but luckily we were here accompanied by a licensed therapist, Sharona. She therapized us, but it got extremely intimate, extremely fast, and so that portion of the podcast episode is on Patreon. So if you want to hear our argument and how we got through it with a therapist, which I really highly recommend you go see because it was a game changer having a mediator there. I honestly...
And having a mediator live.
I honestly would invest in having a mediator at all of our arguments if possible. So if you haven't already, go check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/love like this, because there is a live argument and solution over there with our guest today. But if not, you could just take half of the episode where we don't argue and therapize for half the episode. And here it goes.
Enjoy. We love y'all.
I never knew there was a la like this.
Welcome to
I'm so excited.
Welcome
This is
to
not the plan.
Love Like This, the love cast where we are talking about
Mila.
the before, during, and after of falling in love. I am the one and only beautiful himself, Orlando Roye. Right next to me, I'm saying to my wife to be, soon to be. It's coming, baby. I promise you. No more fake proposals. The real one's coming for you. One and only Milah Mapp. Mila, please say hello to the people.
Hi.
And today we are sitting with a very special person, but also someone that is somewhat close to Mila in just their own, I guess, personal relationship from the Good Vibe Retreat and everything like that.
We're good vibe sisters, spiritual sorority. Woo woo. I wish we need to come up with some
Spiritual sorority. A handshake or something.
Right.
the AKAs. I don't know. We haven't gotten that far, but we need to get that. We need to get that happening.
Absolutely.
Yes, please introduce your sorority.
Oh, don't say that now. They serious about their stuff. We didn't. I didn't pledge.
Introduce your spiritual
sorority.
Spiritual sister.
sorority sister.
They'll write us a cease and desist.
Right, they'd be like, "Oh hell no!"
Shut that whole episode
We
down.
ran your names, and you hoes are not in any of the alpha, deltas, sigma, betas. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
This is my spiritual sorority sister. This is an amazing, wonderful, as you can already tell, intelligent therapist. But give us your title so I don't mess it
I
up.
was going to associate clinical social worker, aka by way of therapy. Yes.
So she is on a regular basis seeing a plethora of clients and helping them through a lot of conflict, just like you saw her, guide and mediate with our conflict.
Ooh, that was
Totally
beautiful.
unexpected.
That was
1000%.
It was such a beautiful conversation, such a beautiful revelation we came to. And I am so happy that we had this conversation just now today with the experience that me and Mila had yesterday with our quote-unquote argument.
We have the argument on camera because we were supposed to start.
I was like, I gotta turn this off.
We literally had most of the argument on camera.
That would be good to look back at, truly, when you do
Right.
hopefully find, your therapist officially. Yes. Just
So-
observe
Let's go
that.
to the
I'm going to
tape.
send that. Yeah. This is the start.
But the reason why it was so beautiful is because something that's been like trickling or like lasting, and we couldn't. I could not find or pinpoint the words or expression like the way you did, and to make like all the connections happen in like one conversation. Also, I can't stop Mila from talking and interrupting me, so that was very helpful. When you did the point, when you pointed at her, I told you,
listen,
stop
let's
talking,
not talk
Mila.
about my point.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
I loved it. 5 stars. Keep
I will
pointing.
say only because I am a talker and I will go. I need someone to be like, okay, let's let the other person. let's come on.
Oh my gosh.
Because you're smart.
Yeah.
So, welcome to Love Like This.
Thank you.
Mila, what kind of month were we having again? Premarital?
Premarital month.
Premarital month.
If anyone tuned in last month, you saw Orlando's, or the month before last, Orlando's fake proposal towards me
Quote unquote fake.
that he decided to put on the internet. And it was very annoying because my mother and a plethora of other people text me, congratulations, only for me to say, Orlando's fucking annoying. There was no ring. He's just joking.
Yes.
Orlando thought it was funny. And this is also a conflict of him not listening to me and not understanding that it's my moment and you're diluting it by putting fake ones on the internet, but whatever. But so anyway, we decided that we're going to deep dive into what does the premarital, what are the premarital steps? Because I don't think prior to us seriously discussing marriage that I even fucking thought about this shit or knew. Like,
absolutely.
we've been looking at rings. I don't know shit about that. Premarital counseling. Like, I'm like, what are we going to ask each other? We don't really have a lot of issues. And then really just deeply, like, what does it mean for me to be a wife? What does it mean for him to be a husband? What do I expect of him? And is something going to change? Are we going to, like, get engaged and wake up different? And I'm going to be like, go to Home Depot right now.
Well, I guess, one of the things I would ask you, like before marriage, premarital, right? What is something that you think that you would want to change about yourself so you can be a better wife in the future?
Oh.
You mean perfect old me?
Yeah, perfect old you. That don't mean nothing changed.
I recognize that my communication style is after I hit a threshold of you're not listening or I feel like I'm not heard, I completely shut down. And not only do I shut down, I put up a wall and I'm out.
Great Wall, China.
And recently, actually, me and Orlando we were in a disagreement. Not recently, like a month ago. And he had come home. Like, he had been gone for like a day, and I think we flew home separately, and I was like, I missed you. And he was like, oh, yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about something 2 days ago. And I was like, the fuck? Like, I just wanted to see you and be happy. He wanted to talk about something else, and immediately I just, like, distanced myself on the couch. And honestly...
That was your threshold?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. I was like, this is, okay.
The timing was poor because I wanted him to miss me. And I remember, I was, like, putting my hand on his shoulder, and when it came up, and then as he started talking, I was like... I felt my pinky, like, not wanted to land. I wanted to, like...
Just immediately.
Like, I literally physically get detached.
Okay.
And he said to me...
I was going to say, Orlando, do you know Mila's threshold?
Child, the shit changes depending on, like, what kind of conversation, how much of the conversation she wants to have. If I start the conversation, the threshold is lower. If she starts the conversation, it's a bit higher. But when I start responding, this threshold starts, like, coming down.
Is this accurate?
Like King Hong Joon or something.
No. I would ask you, is it accurate?
No, I mean, I don't know. I feel like sometimes we're speaking different languages. I feel like I'm being very clear, and he's just like focusing on something that's not about the solution. Anyway, and
that's not about the solution.
Yeah, he's just like, you're interrupting me. I'm like, let's get to the solution of what we're talking about. Anyway,
So in a quick response, I don't mean to cut you off. One of the things that it's not an irritant, it's more so like, I guess we'll call it irritant for lack of better words, is that instead of talking about the thing and communicating about it, we're saying that this is the thing and we're talking about what the solution is. Right, we're talking about what we can do to solve or get past or get rid of this thing. Right. And it's like we've rushed past the actual talking about what the thing is or having a conversation and noticing, okay, that's how you feel about this? Cool. This is what I think about this? Cool. I can understand both of our mindset on whatever topic it is, and then we could talk about the solution once we understand each other's mindset. Okay. But the conversation about how we both think or how we both feel about the said topic seems to be breezed by, and now we're talking about what can we do to solve this topic. Yeah. And so I was like, I don't know.
Because that goes directly to the happy feeling.
Right. Let's get right back to the happiness.
Because when the problem is solved, then I feel better.
And we're
then
happy again.
We can move on. Exactly.
Right. So, but to me, it's like, I don't even know how to create the solution if I don't know the problem. It's like the equal sign is.
I would say you don't even know if it's your solution to create, so to speak.
Right. So it's like I can see that there's an equal sign there to put in the answer for the solution, but I don't even know what the problem. So I could put any answer to this. You said there's a map.
So what's because the bass in your throat is what's your threshold? Because it seems like
my threshold is rushing. It's like once there's a certain speed or a tempo that's faster, it's like, hold on, let's talk about it first. instead of just getting over the conversation, because then that's why I get the sense of this is going to come back up.
Okay.
We didn't get to like all the pieces or all the conversations about this. This is going to come back up.
And how do you communicate that to Mila?
I have not been able to. I've just been able to get
We're waiting
through.
till we get married together. We're going to re-bring all those things.
But no, in a serious note, I've gotten through whatever conversations we can get through. And then just like having the patience to go like, all right, well, when this comes back up, just remember that.
But you just said it's not going to come back up.
No, I said it does come back up.
Oh, it does. Oh, yeah. This does come back up. You did, right.
Up. So it's like, all right, we'll get through what we need to get through right now. And I'm thinking about it in the sense of we're going to be together forever. So I have.
So eventually
we'll come when this comes back up. We'll have more conversation to get more in depth and have a more realization about it.
But you don't feel comfortable initiating the conversation because you know it lowers her threshold?
Sometimes. So with that, I can't come to her with any conversation at any point. It's like, all right, I got to wait for this conversation to come up this way because I know if I bring this up right now, her threshold is going to be low.
Accurate?
Or it...
I don't know. I think it depends on how you bring it up. Like, if you want to talk about something, I'm never like, there's not a door, like, there's an open door policy in our household that if you want to talk about something, like, you can. I think that it's about
without
approach.
You shutting down.
I think it's about approach. I think it's about how we start the conversation. If it's stemming from an other issue and then you're bringing in something else, then I'm going to be less likely to. If I spill the orange juice and you're like, last week, I'm like, wait, hold on.
Okay.
No,
but what I was going to say about that time on the couch, I recognized in myself where my disconnect came, and then he said something to me that was profound, and I'm thankful for you.
Oh, what did I say? Tell the people the profound things I say.
He said to me while we were having this disagreement, he wanted to talk about like why I said something 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. He said, how do you feel? And I said, I don't feel anything. And he said, are you here right now? And I checked in with my body and I wasn't. I said, no.
Yeah.
And then he said, come back to me. Come back here. You're safe. And he's like, you told me that you feel safe with me, right? And I said, yes. And he said, do you feel safer with me or do you feel safer being disconnected? And then I cried like a baby.
It was beautiful.
He got you, yeah.
That's
profound.
Gorgeous. I forgot about that.
It was really profound,
yeah.
And it was a moment in which I had the opportunity to slow down, recognize. I felt it already in my body, but then that he recognized it and shut it down in a gentle and kind and soft way. And then he said, I'm not mad at you. I love you. I'm not mad at you. Yeah. And he held me, and it was really beautiful because I recognize that that's how I operate. It reminded me of something in high school, and me and my mom didn't get along. Mm-hmm. I remember her sliding by me in the kitchen, and I'd be I didn't want to be touched.
Yeah.
Because I was disconnected and removed from that relationship. And so that's the only time I can actually like visually remember it, feeling that real, because it's my mother.
Yeah.
And so in those moments, I've been, in just in Tantra, it's like the study of like dialogue with your body, the practice of the dialogue with your body. So when you're in constant communication with your body, you are more aware when things are not like when you're shutting down.
Yeah, absolutely. You're also teaching yourself, or you're actually comforting yourself. Like you're going back to that moment in the kitchen with your mom, and even though you're irritated and don't want to be touched, it seems like physical touch is maybe a, top for you that, oh, this child needs to be hugged, even if the emotion is mad, sad.
I didn't even put that two together in that moment. But
yeah, because it's, let me go away. Let me go to my room, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But there's power if the parent comes back. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times in marriage, we are making the other partner responsible for all the things our parents or whoever caretakers didn't do. But they have no idea what that is because we don't even know. Exactly, right, until something happens and until you create that space for your partner. And so I think just counseling in general, whether it be premarital, couples counseling, individual, we just create the space for you to just bear all.
Right, and then it
Like,
feels safe because there's a third person
there's
here
another person.
who's going to navigate the argument and maybe
Right.
clarify if things are not clear.
Yeah, and I mean, and I'm just, again, I'm human as well, so I can only say this is what I hear, full range, and I'm one that challenge me, say no, I don't. That's not what I'm saying. This is, but you also have to have kind of the knowledge within yourself of, oh no, this is what's going on.
Yeah, and I recognize even in like the dynamic with Erica, I'm like, there's our child selves are also showing up in these spaces, and
Teenagers.
I do, and sometimes
Right.
younger than that, and I see it. Sometimes I see him like react like a little boy. I see him revert.
But even in that, like you said, there are differences. The bond that you and Erica created, it's soothing because it's a mother figure.
Because it's a
Right.
female.
It's a female. Like you were saying, it's like, oh, the niggas da 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 da, right? That's a whole nother ball game. So when you're literally having to invite one in and give credence and listen yourself, and sometimes the body is saying, oh, but you don't know me. You don't know me. Right? With counseling, it's hopefully opening up those doors that you don't know within yourself to be able to bear it to your partner.
Because if you don't know, I mean, I can only give you what I know. So I have to know myself to even be able to express
Right.
what's coming up for me at those moments.
Right. And so you don't make him or you don't make her responsible for your feelings. Like it's no, I'm responsible, but help me. It's asking for help. And counseling or a conversation opens that door.
Yeah, because I don't even think I said that comparison in that moment. I just recognized it like personally.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was like maybe necessary to say out loud, but I recognize it as a like behavior that showed up again that I was aware of.
Yeah. So how can you, or maybe Orlando can speak on, how do you feel when Mila shuts down? And not in a joking manner, but seriously, when it's a serious something that you care about, and not necessarily this podcast, but the podcast is kind of overarching for the relationship, which is what I'm hearing. How do you make sure you are heard? Because I think a lot of hesitance for men specifically with getting counseling is it's a female predominated field, and it's 2 against 1. Right? It's, I'm not going to have someone in my corner. That shouldn't be the feeling at all. You should also want to be heard as well.
I kind of feel ignored, and the reason why I feel ignored is because of like my own shit with my mom,
Right.
where I didn't really get a lot of moments where I got to speak out and say my piece and say how I feel. It was always shut down. So any feeling of like shut down, whether I'm being shut down or somebody else is being shut down, I take it as being ignored, and being ignored is one of my like biggest pet peeves.
Okay.
Just because like since I was young, I didn't really have much space to be heard. And so even at this point now, what's helpful and for me and what I've come to realize is that I'm okay with not being understood. And before I was conflating being understood with being heard. And I realized that I just want somebody to hear me out. Like I could understand that we're all not the same people, and you might not always understand everything that
Understand
I'm
or
coming to.
agree?
No, understand. Like you might not get it. Like
Okay.
I can see that we all come from like different spaces. I'm a Caribbean kid, came from Brooklyn, New York, and Mila is like a woman that's grew up in the valley. Like it's way different like circumstances of life. But if you could at least sit there and be like, you know what, I'm not gonna get it. I've never been to Jamaica or like lived in Brooklyn, but I can hear you out and see the perspective that you're coming from.
Okay.
That's what I've come to like.
That's
That's what you
understanding.
want.
Oh.
I was like, that's
I
understanding.
I guess I'm taking understanding as like agreeing.
Agreeing,
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, I understand. And I get what you're coming from. Oh yeah, I see
Yeah.
that. It's like, nah, I don't need you to
It doesn't have to be
understand the whole thing. I just need you to hear me out.
Okay.
And as long as somebody like hears me out and gives me the space to express myself,
Right.
and then I'm good. Like after I get to express myself, now I feel like you fully understand what I'm coming from, I'm coming from, and your reaction to that is going to be the reaction of knowing things fully instead of knowing the thing partially of what I'm trying to say. And so now once you understand me fully, and whatever your response you give, I can now assess where you're coming from, because now we all have the information.
The understanding. Yeah. Okay.
And so that's usually how I come to like deal with like my feeling of like, oh, maybe I'm being ignored in this moment. It's like, nah, she's just not the same person as you. And if she gave you the time to speak and she heard you, then that's really all I really need.
I'm hearing that you're a person that probably offers up a lot more understanding than you get, or then not even that you get, that you receive.
Yeah, I've received in the past. Yeah, I think I'm.
But not that maybe gotten to, but received. Because if you're saying it's not important to you, then there's going to be a wall up of to receive that understanding. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying.
So, how does Mila cross over that wall as your future wife? How does she? Because you don't want to make her climb, then she's exhausted when she gets to the top, right?
Ask me the question one more time.
How does Mila understand you?
It's weird to say because, like, it's the obvious, like, communication, like, the conversation. We are around each other a lot. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of conversations and a lot of understanding that comes from that. But other than just, like, the actual speaking.
Understanding or information?
The information, sorry.
Yeah.
A lot of information that comes from that. But other than that, I can see that she picks up on things other than, like, in communication or in talking. So she'll pick up, like, certain mannerisms and then know what I may need in certain times.
So actions.
And she's good at listening and then applying.
Okay.
So, like, that's when it comes to being solution-based, when we get to the part of being like, hey, let's talk about solution, applying the solution, she's very good at.
Okay.
And so that's what I've recognized in her.
Okay, nice. Same question.
What was the question?
How does Orlando understand you? How?
I mean, he's intuitive. You know, in that example that I
so he can read your mind.
He is intuitive in the sense he can read my energy, and I think that he listens. So if I have expressed ever, or he has witnessed me shut down, then he takes the initiative in the moment where he's seeing it happen in real time.
Okay,
he's tapping into it, letting me saying it out loud, and also saying the things that I need to hear in order for me to back down from that ledge and bring down whatever wall that I've automatically built.
And then maybe that's a better question. How does he bring down the wall in the moment?
I mean, that time when he said, "Do you feel safe here?" That was him doing that in the moment, and it immediately made me unmask.
If he asked you that every time, would it?
I think so. I think sometimes it's a matter of me being conscious and aware of I'm doing it. I mean, and sometimes I'm doing it because I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
You know, and I do. I could probably work on my patience.
Okay.
Sorry.
That was an agreement.
That was my body laughing.
Yeah, I could work on my, I could work on my patience and I guess my listening.
Okay.
But yeah, Orlando's good at tuning into me and my needs and just ways, like alternative ways to combat conflict. You know, like it's, you know, I'll reach a threshold and I'll remove myself.
I was gonna say, is there a point where you don't reach that threshold? Because the baseline is you at the top of your threshold, then that's individual work.
I'm not like fucking going crazy. I don't
no,
have, like,
not at all.
Issues.
No. Threshold of exhaustion, threshold of just it's a lot, overwhelmed.
Yeah, I get overwhelmed easily.
Yeah,
I get overwhelmed easily, mostly because I'm super sensitive to like energy in general, just other people, and it's like I love it. I love people, but then I'm coming to this place where I'm like, okay, there's a point where it's a lot. I'm overstimulated by everybody's feelings. And so I want to leave. I want to run. And he's good at just being like, no, sit the fuck down. This is like, he is good at de-escalating.
De-escalating is
de-escalating a situation.
Off the ledge, like.
And then also being like, I'm sorry. Or also like, let's move forward. Because like yesterday after I said, fuck this recording, we were supposed to go to a friend's house and I wanted to leave and go home.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, let's go. And I'm like, whatever. So So it's harder for me to let things go too.
Because I mean, yes, it was something that happened, but did it need to ruin the whole day?
No, but I mean, no, it didn't. But I was tired, and I mean, I went, so it was fine. But I just he's better at washing his hands of things and moving on and everything being fine, whereas I can sit in it and I'd be like, "Fuck you, I want to be alone now. I'll talk to you tomorrow."
No, and that's exactly what can be discussed.
My dude was
different.
Like 7:00. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
It could have been.
It's all right. Need that time. I need that space.
I need
in
my
between.
fucking 8 hours.
What are you talking about? 6:30.
What is that? What do you mean?
That's mad early to be talking about. I'll talk to you tomorrow at 6:30.
And the next business
The
hours.
next business day.
And then there's a level of like I was doing shit all day. Like we had a new team member here. I was working all day.
But
like,
it's more so how do you communicate that? Yes, the overwhelm is there, but how do you communicate? I'm feeling overwhelmed. I would like to go home and just cuddle. I just want to be with you right now.
Yeah, I thought that I wanted to do this recording, but this ended up being something way larger than I thought I had planned on, and now my mood has shifted.
Right.
And I'm realizing I've done a lot today already. We've been here all day, and maybe we should just turn these fucking cameras off and go home.
I can understand that, baby. If you want to go home and turn the cameras off, I'm always down to do whatever makes you feel the most comfortable in that space. That's not me being sarcastic either.
How do you both feel comfortable? How do you both make space for each other in, the duality of business partners, lovers, friends, best friend? Like, if you're everything to each other, how do you get space? How do you create differences? Because sometimes
you get like blended, like it starts bleeding into
when
all
it turns
one
out. Because
blob.
sometimes I just want to talk to my husband. I don't want to talk about business. And sometimes I want to talk to my business partner, and it's on.
And that's hard too, because Orlando wants to talk about serious things all the time. Sometimes finances. Sometimes we're at the house.
Even I'm like, really?
It's 11 p.m. and we're drinking
more concise.
cocktails, and he's like, "So RIAs and term life insurance and whole life insurance," and I'm like,
that's a good conversation. All right, hold on, slow down now.
At 11 p.m.
Financial responsibility is a good conversation.
Financial responsibility is sexy.
It is sexy.
So I would say you guys might need focused business time in general.
Just
like just set 2 hours deep work at the beginning of the day. This is what we're talking about it, and then after those 2 hours, these are the action hours, and then it's off.
And it's I take responsibility too, because I don't have strict guidelines around work in general. It's just like we wake up, we work all the way until we go to sleep, and so there's times where I've worked all day on something else, and he wants to talk about this, and then I'm like, I can't fucking talk about any more goddamn podcasting.
So how do you communicate that your capacity is low?
I haven't. I don't know. I haven't tried that.
We'll just keep pushing through and going.
Because you know what? I feel like if I say that and I say I've given so much all day in this area, and then I say like I'm tired now, it's gonna go back to this argument that I don't, I care more about, or I'm being pulled more in this direction willingly and not giving effort in this space. So then I just listen. But in my head, I'm tired.
I think
and overwhelmed.
Okay.
I think that you think that I think that you're lazy, and I don't. And I think that you don't think that you don't like to express that because you don't want me to think that you're lazy and don't want to do things. So you're hesitant on even saying like, oh yeah, I've done so much already. It's not that you're hesitant on like doing things with me. It's like hesitant on saying like I've done so much already. I don't know if I can really push through.
I agree. I know that there's probably something deeper to like my work ethic or how I show up or my worthiness in spaces or if I'm working hard enough. I recognize that. I never feel like I'm doing enough, and I probably because my work has become a 24/7 fucking 7-year commitment, and so
successful
commitment. But sometimes I feel not like a imposter, but I'm just always like, am I doing enough? Is it done enough? Do we know enough today? Like, is Erica happy? Are you happy? Like all these, like I'm just constantly going. And
so isn't your relationship maybe the one area that be nice to slow down?
Yeah, that's necessary. But I also I think it's also personal. I recognize it has nothing to do with any of those other things. It's me. It's maybe like whatever information that I got as a child. It's like maybe not feeling like, even in my interactions with my parents now, I recognize we talk in like our compliments are like insults.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You know, like my whole family calls each other ugly. Hey, ugly. You know what I mean? And it's like of love, but like there's just a level of criticism before any type of affirmation. And I recognize that in how I talk to everybody around me and my kid. And like, it's not that I'm trying to be mean.
No, absolutely not. It's what
not.
you're
There's
used
no like,
to.
and sometimes I get triggered when people are like, "Oh, you're talking." Like you're talking so I feel soft inside.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm not.
You're sharp on the outside.
And I am and but it's
both.
And so sometimes there are comments that like it triggers me. And it's not about me being lazy, because I know I'm not lazy. I've done a lot, but I feel like if someone feels like I'm lazy, but I do a lot for our family and I'm doing a lot all the time, it feels like an insult. And there's things that I need to like remove from my own perception of self about my work ethic and how I show up, and just giving myself the space to rest so I'm not overwhelmed and feeling like I have to finish everything in one day or else I'm fucking a failure.
Absolutely.
So yes, I recognize that, and I also know that like I'm not lazy, but I work at night. Like I work my 3 p.m. is 8 p.m. I'm energized. I'm like, I want to do videos now at midnight. Go get the camera. And he's like, bitch, I'm going to sleep. And I'm like, you say I don't care. You don't fucking care.
It's 1 a.m. I cared.
Boundaries.
I cared between 8 a.m. and 10:30 p.m. It's now 1
and even those are extended.
Right.
But it's interesting that you call them guidelines, because there's boundaries with work as well. And sometimes it's not seen that way because it's like, oh, but this is my business, this is my livelihood. But, you know, I know there's this big, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur and this, that, and the other. I'm the daughter of a business owner, a successful business owner, and there's sacrifices. It's a blessing for 9 to 5. My mom works 24/7. She does not stop. She owns group homes for developmentally disabled.
Oh yeah.
So
that's no joke.
There's it's nonstop. But the business side of that is your brain is always on.
Always.
Right. And truly, I'm thinking of my mom because she used to shake her leg just like that because she's always.
I literally. I thought I was ADD, but I'm always having 2 or 3 conversations at once. Yeah. I'm literally on my computer doing one thing. I'm checking in. Yep. And if I don't do that, I don't feel like
you're
I'm
not doing anything. Yeah.
If I'm just having a conversation, and then sometimes those feelings of overwhelm do shut me down, and I'm like, I can't do anything.
Right.
And then I feel bad, and then it's like this terrible guilt, this like feeling of guilt and not enough, and then this cycle. Wow, we're really getting deep in this fucking.
I was gonna say, because I was just like, you're literally just describing your whole. I don't think this is gonna go out. Y'all need to use this just for your own personal. I'm like, oh my god!
I knew we needed her, babe.
We need to pay you.
We haven't even talked about goddamn. Just get it. That's it.
I'm gonna
have
to fucking take you to lunch after this.
Jesus Christ, Cherona. I'm sorry.
But I'm like, this is your whole threshold of.
I thought we were perfect, and here we are.
Well, listen, when you sent me the email, like, what about if there's nothing really to talk about in the relationship? I hollered. I said, okay. But in the sense of there's always something to talk about. Like, premarital, we'll get back to it, of premarital counseling, I see it as being proactive instead of reactive. Couples counseling is usually there's a problem in my relationship. And it's very important. I don't want it to sound like I'm downplaying. No, it's very important just to have a space to just talk openly. Some counselors or therapists, I should say specifically, some therapists like an individual session with each person, even though it's for couples, just to get to know the individual. There are things you don't feel comfortable saying in front of your partner until you do. But when you come together, it's kind of an agreement that it's going to be talked about. like there's also a no secrets policy.
When you have a couple, are you allowed to work with the individuals alone and together? Is that generally how it goes, or do they usually have separate personal?
Usually separate, just because there's a conflict of interest of if there was something that you do want to keep private, there is confidentiality, and you don't want your spouse to know. It would be if it's accidentally slips out.
There's a no secret policy.
Right.
Okay.
And it could also shape what I say, like in the sense of, and if you're a professional, it shouldn't, but in general, I think kind of like working with parents and kids. If the kid says, "Oh, I wish my dad, would just do this," and then 2 weeks later, I suggest, "Oh, maybe you should just offhandedly."
Then the child feels like you've betrayed my trust.
Betrayed your trust, right? Or the child can use it as manipulation. Kind of same with just
let me go
group.
tell the therapist because I know
this is what I want. He's going to tell my dad real quick.
Just drop it here and then okay.
Right.
Is it a conflict? Like if we wanted to see you, could you not see me because we're friends?
Correct.
That's why
this is just a conversation.
I don't like that at all. I don't like that. I never understood that. Why? I want to talk to my friends. I don't want to talk to a stranger bitch.
Mila is about to have you on a podcast once a month. Hey, you should come
it's just a conversation.
You're so good. Once a month.
Sharona's our resident.
I was like, all my friends are very happy. Absolutely. These conversations just be flowing. Yes.
I mean, this is important. And
no, it is. But also, having someone that does not know you is important too. Mm-hmm. Because I approach almost everybody with curiosity. So I'm thoroughly interested. I care. So I'm good at my job. Yes. But in general, having that outside, like I know you, but I don't know you.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not going to be like, oh, well, that's because I just told her last week that this, right? It would influence kind of how
you, what
right.
You're
I would want to make sure, hey, dude, you got to take care of my friend, right? Like, that's where it feel like 2 against 1.
Right. I'm sitting here like, all right, here we go.
Right. She's going to side with her.
Again.
Exactly.
Nothing's
and then
worse than the environment he's already in.
Exactly.
See how happy he is to see you.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, listen, we gotta talk. All right, okay. She's coming back.
Right. So, but it is important just to create that space. But I will also say therapy is 1 hour a week or every other week. It's really important to create the space at home. That's number one.
And I'm wondering, like, if you have a couple, or if a couple has come to you in we're about to get engaged or married in this similar space of us.
Yeah.
Are there practices or exercises that you because I'm recognizing in this conversation there's other things that are deeply rooted in me that I have to deal with. I mean, and I knew that, but
right.
and vice versa. But like, is there a world where there's an exercise where we go back to age 0 and we figure out the problems that now will show up in adult relationships? Because
oh man, we wish
we need to think of this exercise.
yeah, we got to do that in the time machine.
But in hypnotherapy, no.
Yes, no. When it comes up, because one of the beautiful things about that moment that you guys shared was that it was in the moment. And that's why we want to make sure that your threshold is open. Not saying that, life won't be lifing, but in general, your threshold will be available just in case a conflict happens, so to speak. Right? Yeah,
almost like an emergency practice, like a timeout. Like, how can we de-escalate?
And that's just time together.
Yeah, and I mean, it's time and it's practice, because I think people have potential things they could do, but if you never reach for them in the medicine cabinet, it doesn't matter.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like,
Correct.
there's the human, like, the reality of the practice. You
right.
know, like, we have to both be cheesy enough to be like, let's
sit down.
Let's sip yab and stare into each other's eyes. You're fucking pissing me off right now.
Absolutely.
And I'll be
or not cheesy, just adult enough.
Adult enough.
I feel like we put the corny stigma on doing like things that we actually need to do.
Oh yeah.
And then it makes us avoid it. Like, it's not cheesy.
I say corny, or I like to label it because I want people to know it's going to sometimes feel that way.
Yeah.
And but also what's the opposite? Like, I want a rom-com fucking romance. I want it to be that way. I wouldn't be a cheese me up, baby.
Right.
And I had to realize that because Orlando's very romantic and very cheesy, and I'd be like,
yeah, nice.
I'd be like, why are you being so weird, But in the reality, I'm like, bitch, do you like it?
But that's it. It's receiving it.
Yeah.
That is the part that I think a lot of people don't work on. They're just like, oh, I want it, but can I receive this?
And that's the thing. Like, how can I receive it? And we just talked about in the other room about, like, you've just coming this year and saying like I do want marriage.
I do want marriage. I do want kids.
But like, how did you? What was hesitant about you saying that? Like, what was your obstacle about saying that before?
Saying it out loud, it was that it might not happen, because you have to put yourself out there. But dating in general is one of the biggest self discoveries. 1000%. Like, I learn more about myself every day.
And I read that recently too somewhere about the relationships you have. So you can do all the healing and all these things, but if you what happens a lot is like in a certain age period you're not living with anyone.
Yeah.
The only usually like situations where we're this close in relation with someone is childhood.
Right.
And so when you get into, living situations or deep, relationships, those things begin to emerge because that's the only time you're ever going to be in the incubator.
Right.
Is essentially that close knit
constant.
So like people think like, oh, I'm not getting along with this person because we're just too close. We spend too much time together now. Right. It's like, no, bitch, no matter who's up in this motherfucker, you're going to have to look at yourself and those things are going to come up. And I think a lot of people think they're healing in isolation because they are controlling their group of friends.
Absolutely.
Or they're controlling, like their isolation.
Their environment in general.
Their environment.
Yeah.
And so,
until you invite someone in.
So you're not healed. You're just healed to that level.
Yeah. I mean, not that you're not healed. Healing is a whole journal. Yeah, it's
no
ever
healed.
evolving.
I don't even know who made the word healed with the ED.
But it's more so how do you let that other person in authentically, but also not lose yourself? Because sometimes with marriage, it's putting on a mask. And then you're in it, and then they take the mask off, and you're like, who is this?
Right.
Like, who am I, right? To where you want it to be a role that you discuss. Like, this is the standard. Expectations is, a tricky word, but there's a standard. You want respect, love, grace, care. Fun is also important to you, too. So it's like, what steps can we make? It's kind of making your own love map. And really focusing on this is what's important to us. This is our foundation. These are our pillars. And so that there are no outsiders that can knock that foundation. You want that to be cemented.
Do we need to have a business plan? A marriage business?
Yeah.
I said this to you, a contract, and you didn't like it. As maybe an agreement.
Well, I mean, some people consider marriage a contract, and but having it's just like a sex contract too. These are red flags, boundaries, yay, nay. That's a conversation.
Like, this is the kitchen contract. Give me one moment. The kitchen contract.
Hey.
Let me go refer to page 90.
What are vows? Do you know if you're going to speak your own vows or if you're going to do the traditional?
We're definitely not doing the traditional.
What's the traditional?
From the Bible, I think.
Not from, I don't know, from the Bible, but
is
just
it from the Bible?
I don't think it's from better or worse, richer or poor. I don't think that's specifically from the Bible, but just in general, that's the
general consensus of
whatever vows.
But
so you plan on writing your own vows?
I think, I think so. It's a covenant. And also, I don't think we're going to have a very traditional wedding. We're probably going to have, like, drummers and, like a shaman of some sort.
Whatever you want. Yeah. Truly, premarital counseling, I think, should be during the wedding planning. That's usually the most tumultuous time ever because it's kind of like a snapshot of, there's always outside influences that sometimes drain you because you want to make everybody happy.
And there's a people pleasing too.
Right. And you have to focus on each other. So how do you come back to each other? One, I don't want to say forced space, but one selected space could be that counseling.
How many sessions would you recommend an engaged couple to have before they get married?
The average, I believe, is about 8 to 10. So about, and if you do that weekly,
there's about 10 weeks.
2 months.
Yeah, that's not crazy.
2.5 months, 3 months before.
Yeah. I do recognize that there's just, there are things that bridges that I'm crossing that I didn't realize I was like hesitant to cross or like not fully in because of just my own prior like programming.
Yeah.
Because it's so crazy when you said about make the plate thing. Like,
there
was a time in my like teenage years I really wanted to be a housewife.
Yeah.
All I wanted to do was be a housewife. I just wanted to marry rich. I wanted to be a gold digger. I wanted to be a housewife and like maybe have a side job on the side or like a side business. But I also wanted like a nanny and a cook. But my life didn't pan out that way, but I did there was a point where I did value like caring for a man and like making a plate, and but somewhere in my lifetime I think that became tainted because, like I said, when I heard that interview with fucking Jess Hilarious, no, that's not Jess Hilarious.
No.
Cam Newton's woman, and she was on Shan Boodram's show, and she's like, I love spoiling my man, and I was like, I wanted to throw up. But then I realized, bitch,
do you know what space you were at when you were listening to that, though?
She was with me.
We were in a relationship. We were living together. But there is like a level there. I had to recognize, like, bitch, that is you, and you do feel that way, and you do spoil your man. But like, what about it feels repulsive?
Okay, I get what you're saying now. When you were saying that you created an identity for your business on singledom, you created this again. That's creating an identity that is not actually you.
It was.
It was. But and also for you, when you say you're on camera, but it's on. What's wrong with just on? I'm just asking.
This come back to me.
There's two people here. No. That's what I'm saying. You're always going to be included, darling. Of course. But I'm saying you're both taking on personas. When do you take it off? Completely.
That's an interesting thing.
What's wrong with just being on? Okay. So.
Just one on.
Just you, but on just you. Just you.
The thing about it is.
Because and then it goes back. You want to get deeper. It goes back to I won't be understood. So let me put on this persona that is understandable, direct.
What? There's nothing wrong with being on. Just one on. Right?
Just one. Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with it, right?
Absolutely.
I get ecstatic with an audience.
Okay.
This is an audience.
Is the audience. Yeah. Okay.
So now I'm here.
So you thought that's a piece of you.
Yes, this is not a made up character.
Okay.
No, this is me.
This is a part of his.
I got you. Okay.
And it's not
if we had 4 people at our house, he'd be the same.
Yeah, I'd be on. Like,
yes.
Give me
okay.
Luna comes home. My daughter comes home, and I'm on.
Yeah. I got you. Okay.
So it's like you give me an audience like, oh, I'm happy now. I love our love so much. I'm obsessed with our relationship.
Yeah.
So now you give me an obsession with an audience, and now I can tell people about this thing that I'm obsessed about and I love so much and I feel so strongly about.
Right.
I get on.
Yeah. And you want Mila to match that passion.
And I want you to know I love you in all of your ons times 1 or 100.
1 or 100.
I do love you, and you're crazy and you're silly, and I love that about you, and you're like youthful, and that I need that, to remind myself shit is not so serious all the time. So I'm thankful for those aspects of you. But I think sometimes on camera, even I am shy in ways. Like I'm shy in ways, and like there's a comfort in the other podcast that I've gotten over that threshold.
That. Right.
So here, showing up with you, I'm like, where do I fit in this? Like double dutch, like where do I jump in? Because you are so on.
But are you giving yourself are you giving yourself an opportunity to figure out in that space?
I mean, I feel like I have. A part of me figuring it out is saying it out loud. And one thing is, because I've been in this space a long time, it's so crazy. I know this is weird.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it, but like I feel more comfortable having certain conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
On camera and on the couch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, I don't know. I've just developed that skill. I've sharpened that tool of like, this is my therapy.
Absolutely.
So there's a with Erica, it's like an easy thing. Like there's been times I've had conversations with her, and then we get on camera, and I'm like, "Hey, bitch," and she's like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "Sorry, this is where I felt comfortable."
Yeah, yeah.
Probably not the healthiest.
That's your on.
That's my on, and then there's been like I'm still nervous sometimes, like, and I still am figuring it out how not our characters, because the character is us, but like how we. Yeah, like if I'm just being in a regular mood and then we sit down on the couch and this nigga's on 10, I'm like,
but that's y'all. If that's y'all, then that's.
And the other part of that is like I was podcasting before I came to LA.
No
and the podcast that I was doing, we were on. Like it was another guy.
Okay.
It was men. We were talking about sex and like the things that we like and dislike about like sex, love, relationship, and compatibility.
Yeah.
And so with that one, we would joke around a lot. Niggas in the studio, just niggas talking and just laughing.
Right.
And so we could be chilling, and then something will come up and it'll be hilarious to us, and we'll just go off and just riff off of it. And so now when I get here, it's just like, but you like podcasting.
It's different. Yeah.
You
it's
like
a different
doing
energy.
this. Like, huh?
Yeah.
I like this. You like this. Let's get the energy. And so
But is that where you kind of placing the expectation on Mila to be one of the guys?
And so yes, the expectation was there because to me it was like, oh, my last person that I was podcasting with, they like doing podcasting. You like doing podcasting, so this energy should be on. It's perfect.
Right.
And so with the consideration, and then on top of that, I never really had to consider people a lot. Like,
what do you mean?
When it comes to like in the podcasting space, this is about me, my stories, my experiences. You got to sit there and listen.
Yeah.
You're the audience. I'm on stage.
And now you have to consider your future wife.
I have to consider her. I have to consider her feelings. I have to consider the people that she's also involved with. And now it's like I'm on 2,
with the limit,
and then I'm -1, and then I'm on 1, and then I'm back at 0. And it's like this is an uncomfortable like back and forth. Like, am I jumping in for double dutch or am I not? Is it going too fast? Am I like? Yeah. And so when I sit here, and I have to get into a space of like consideration, get in a space of like understanding all of these things on top of the setup that has to happen. Right. It's just like, come on, like let's record. Yeah. Like, why are we worrying about?
Let's do the part that I like.
These, like I can't even get to the part that we like because there's so much consideration for everything.
Yeah. I'm wondering how that's going to transcend in your marriage.
I am wondering that, but to answer your question, answer a question that you asked before, like how do we make sure like the business and the marriage,
how do you turn
off or like turn on in certain spaces? I think that with us being around each other so much, we like conflate things. Like so, we'll work at home. We'll go to like certain places and then like have serious conversations, just like on the whim or randomly. Yeah. And so I think that coming into the office and designating like office time and work time. Right. And then when we're home, we're having like family time or like, you know, financial conversations time. Right. But like I think when it comes to work, actual working and like picking up stuff, putting it down, typing and screen and being in front of a screen, that we should designate it in a certain environment. And that's what's been helpful for us is that in certain environments, it's designated for certain things. On vacation, it's not a problem.
No, right.
We're a vacation couple. We started off like vacationing. So on vacation, there's already a feeling and energy that we love and we're comfortable with. Yeah. So when we're on vacation, we already know what it is.
That's good.
And so when we're home, we know what it is as well. Okay. But when we get work and home start like mixing into each other, that's when it starts getting like shaky. So I think when we change our environment, and we're in certain environments, like if we're in the office and we're designating just like, hey, we're working. Right. This is work time. This is work conversations, serious conversations. We talk about money and finance here. And then at home, we'll just like family time it. Then
because at least then you can prepare like, oh, I will have the thresholds for this because it's already kind of scheduled and planned. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, it's just kind of like planning out. And it sounds boring. It sounds like, you know, scheduled sex or, you know, forced dates nights, but it really is taking that time to kind of figure out that like that board can be for your relationship in a sense of this is how I will also say, but putting you guys first, putting your relationship first. I think that might be a big change in the sense of, like you're saying, when there are outside just entities, as in friendships, family, we want to make everyone happy.
Yeah, and that's I'm a recovering people pleaser. Yeah, and
and even with like, I feel the same. I want to make everybody happy too.
But not at the expense of yourself. Your own happiness,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so when it comes to things like we were speaking about earlier, with Erica's feelings or anybody else's feelings, and Mila would try to like get me to understand. It's like, I care too. Like I care about this person as well, and I'm trying to maneuver in a way that everybody is comfortable and happy. Why are we coming at me as if I'm the stoppage or I'm the one that's causing like all of this conflict? And so that's what would make me feel like partially sad.
Because subconsciously you might not. Okay, sorry, but my first thought is because subconsciously you are.
What do you mean?
that you coming into Mila's life is the start of this new chapter in her life, which is causing conflict
or
in an
seems like a
area
disruption in somewhere else, right? And
right.
so,
and not saying that's your fault, but
yeah.
just in general,
Right.
that's the change. You are the change.
right? And so I'm looking at it as I'm a positive change. I'm a
Right.
positive direction. I'm more
For
than
Mila.
helpful. Well, for both.
For Mila.
No, it's for everybody.
No, I understand. I understand,
but
but
personally,
specifically,
yeah.
we got to focus on it's a positive change for Mila. It's a positive change for you first. What are
Right.
those changes that need to happen and occur? Then it's the other level. Remember, we're building that foundation for you
First.
guys.
Yeah.
Then, if one of your pillars is community, then you figure out what community
Where
what
does that
influence community has on your relationship. But you still have to make your foundation as strong as possible.
Should one of the pillars of a 2-person relationship be community?
So in the way I'm thinking of it, the pillar is at the top. You guys are there, and then these are the pillars. So it's a part of it, but it's not
it.
attached. Well, it's attached, but it's not a part of.
I mean, I think a part of our relationship is community. We do both really enjoy community efforts and like spreading the love and
But enough to have it influence your relationship.
And I think that's where like it stops for me. It's like, okay, I'm into it. I'm helpful to everybody, but as soon as it gets to the point where Mila feels away or uncomfortable, then my focus is only on us or on Mila. Whereas I think sometimes, depending on the person, Mila is like, no, well, my focus is still making sure this person is comfortable. It's like, nigga, this don't even make you happy. Like, I'm not gonna keep considering somebody else if the result of it isn't you smiling at the end of the day.
Right.
And so when you're considering somebody and it's not like in your favor or what you feel is your favor, then it's like it takes me back a little bit from even thinking about everybody else, and now I got to focus back on you. So that's where I think the disconnect of I care about this thing. Do you even care about it also? And it's like, yeah, but I care about you more than I care about the thing.
Right. And then, again, where do you factor into this? Because you have to care about yourself as
And
well.
then, yes, where do I?
Or make room for yourself as well. There's always going to be compromise. Yes, one person like, oh, let's focus on you today, but let's make sure there's space for me.
Yeah.
So basically, the conclusion is
Mila's threshold is
we
negative.
See how she got to the solution?
75.
So the
She's like,
solution-
I'm done.
The solution is
we need premarital counseling.
Premarital counseling is proactive.
Do you think we need individual counseling?
I always recommend individual counseling for everybody.
For
I
a
would say
lifetime?
therapy isn't for everybody, but outside counsel, mentorship, advice. Some people have people in their life that just give great advice, and that's amazing. But just having a clear, open space.
A safe space.
Safe space. Absolutely.
Forever? Like, you think people should be in therapy forever?
No, I don't think anybody can handle therapy forever, but in
Afford it,
general,
I think
or
everybody
afford
should be
it.
in therapeutic environments.
But
forever.
creating therapy, I remember when I was younger, I think just, foreshadowing and Jesus-and, I used to go on retreats when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, I was in a private school Lutheran, and they had just conversational retreats.
Did you go on the Kairos retreat?
Yes,
Me
that
too.
was
I went to-
that was Catholic.
Yeah,
so that,
I went to the Catholic school and I went to the Kairos retreat.
Absolutely. But all it was conversations.
Yeah.
I led the Kairos retreat.
I
led one of them.
I went on one.
Yeah, exactly.
My life, my high school life.
Yeah, and all it is
We're
you're putting
sisters in
people.
Christ too. We're also
That's the
sisters in
spiritual
Christ.
Right. But it was literally just room for conversation.
Right.
Like in the Catholic school, that was where we got the opportunity to talk about sex openly and
Right,
just ask
and no one was
questions.
gonna say anything,
and
right.
nobody was gonna, spill it.
Yeah.
That's therapy.
Right.
It's bigger now and everybody's getting therapy, but it is expensive. It is hard. Not everybody's willing to do the work, and some people just do it because it looks good.
That's so true. I didn't think of it. Retreat is like a group therapy session. I guess if you
Yeah.
called it that, nobody would go.
Not necessarily, but
Retreat is
you would have to.
therapeutic.
It can be. It's a therapeutic environment.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Yeah, and I went on retreats before I became. I was not a therapist when I went on that retreat.
With us?
Yeah,
You
no.
weren't. I was thinking,
I was not.
he pulled out your picture and was like, "Oh, one of our friends said this is a good therapist," and I was like, "I know her." I was like, I know her, and I didn't know she was a therapist.
Yeah, no, I was. I had my master's in social work, but I was working for the family business. I got my master's before COVID, And so I didn't find a job until after COVID.
And then you decided to go into therapy.
Truly, I had an amazing boss that saw, oh, she is a therapist before she was a therapist. And she was like, oh, yeah, you have your number, right? Let's
So when you finished your master's in social work, that was not the lane you were intending on going on?
No, I didn't. I had no idea. I started out wanting to be a vet.
And wait, how long ago did you go on the retreat? That's only were you the one?
2022.
You're the one of the first groups?
One of the first. I think that we were the second.
The second. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. OG.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
this is this turn of events. Wow.
But again, I was always the listener, the one that gave advice, problem solver, things like that.
You're really good at it.
Oh, thank you.
Your boss was right.
But I will say you probably met me at one of my lowest points, which wild thinking about it now, but it was because I didn't have that path. I didn't know what I was doing.
You were just trying to figure it out.
I was just trying to figure it out. I was trying to live up to the expectations that my mother did not put on me that I put on myself.
To be as
in the family business,
as she
entrepreneur.
Mama's killing it. I need to kill it too.
Yeah, exactly. Right. She provided a life for a lot of people. So I'm like, oh, I have to live up to
that. Yeah. And that,
never.
And like something you said earlier about like the entrepreneurship lifestyle is like,
it's 24 hours.
I'm not a boss bitch.
I want to sleep.
I do. Like,
but you are.
Like, I am a boss bitch by default. But like I said, in childhood, I wanted to be a housewife. Yeah. So this is very different than what I fucking thought was going to happen.
But what I'm hearing is you wanted to create a housewife-like environment for yourself. You wanted the family, the white picket fence.
I did. I wanted a family. I wanted to like be cute when my husband came home. That was in my wheelhouse.
You can still do that.
I was going to say, but you see that's happening to you now.
Yeah. Yeah. So
right.
Yes.
So let's receive it.
And that has been an ongoing theme. Is like, can I be present in it? Can I receive it? Can I just be happy because I'm safe? And that's it. Yeah. But when you haven't felt safe all the time in relationships,
right,
or in life,
or when you felt safe in other people,
right? Then
that's the part.
Yeah. Now I'm just like, okay, I'm sinking in and settling into this chapter of my life, and it's taken some time.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say for both of you, give yourself time to go off, like completely at home. Vacations are great, but sometimes you come back from vacation and everything just falls back on your back. You're like, oh, yep, I have. No.
Oh, like go off from work, like
off from work at home.
Like let it be the end of the day.
You've created this life, and you are successful because you overcame something. There was something with Good Moms that you were like, no, I'm going to fight for this. I think Orlando is asking you to find that within this space, but you're also going to have to maybe ask yourself that, and you as well, for your marriage. There's something I have to overcome to make this successful. Whether it be you, your own inner child, whether it be you and your not wanting understanding or wanting to be understood, don't let that get in the way of your relationship.
I knew this was a good idea, but it's a way better an idea than I thought. Wow, this is beautiful. I'm literally sitting here like, yo, I knew there were things that would come up and that should come up, and I was like, I just don't know what they are, and I can't wait to sit and talk to somebody so that they can tell me like, oh yeah, these are the questions you should be asking.
Well, I didn't tell y'all not one question to ask.
Child, yes you did. Yes you did. You don't know it, but yes you did. I'm in my mind. I got mad questions to ask myself and Mila like after this, but
okay, good.
This is a beautiful.
This was amazing. I say thank you to y'all. This was a good.
It was great. This is more than I ever wished for. I wasn't even expecting this. Are you taking clients currently?
I am right now. It will change next year, but right now I'm taking clients. I have an office in Costa Mesa, so you can find me on Psychology Today. See if insurance, private pay will hopefully work it out.
I'm going to put all of Sharona's information in here. If you are a couple, and I'm assuming you do virtual too.
Yeah.
So no matter where in the world you are, you can also have Sharona on your couch.
I was going to say California because I am an associate, so it has to be
within California. But, you don't have to come to Costa Mesa if you don't need to.
Right.
And, this has been really great. And so if you were looking for a counselor, then Sharona's your girl.
And I want to say that I understand where you're coming from, where you feel like there's so much to do, like within the day, and there's so much happening at one time, and then like having 3 conversations at once, because I also am going through the same thing where I'm constantly thinking about where we are right now and what better situation we can be in, what I can do to make you happy, what I can do to consider you. And so I didn't fully get that you were going through the same thing. And I'm so happy that you were able to express that today during this conversation, because now I'm able to even more understand and go through the day by day of what you're going through and be more compassionate about like your threshold or whatever is happening to you with work during the day or day to day, and I can have more patience or a different approach on how to go about things now, knowing this, that you're going through something that I know the feeling is familiar with me as well. And so thank you for expressing that.
Thank you. Thank you for listening and for being patient with me and just our relationship and being intentional and mindful and honestly just prioritizing it and caring enough to expand the relationship and take it to the next level on a consistent basis.
Want to do a Mila's moans for that?
Mm-hmm. Healing, it's so fun.
One of the things that we've been doing on our little love cast here, and we would love for you to indulge in, is that we give a dedication. So if there's anybody that you would like to dedicate some love to right now, we would love to hear you express it.
Yeah, I would. Oh my God, so many people. I'll start off with my mother. She's my foundation for sure. Good, bad, and ugly. I owe a lot to her giving me the freedom to figure it out, and for her working so hard garnered some of that freedom. So I wish that for your daughter, because you work very hard for her to have that freedom as well. But also to my friends that also hold the capacity for me to have this safe space. I think the best advice I ever got was that you have to be in therapy to kind of give therapy, because you don't understand what you wouldn't understand if you're not in that space. And so for the people that aren't therapists that support the strong friends and the, the stubborn, the ones that don't necessarily Aquarius, right? That might be a little detached from their emotions. It takes a strong bunch to, love them.
But
so,
it's a village.
Yeah, shout out to my besties for sure.
When's your birthday?
February 1st.
Oh, you're first.
Number 1.
I'm the 10th.
Nice.
At a 0.
Yeah.
Love it.
And also shout out to you for taking the space that your mom created for you to figure it out and being successful and figuring it out and being hardworking and finding your own way and continuing to do that, because you're obviously killing it.
Thank you. I will say that's how I hopefully continue the legacy. We help people and, just care.
That's true.
Yeah.
This has been beautiful.
I enjoyed this. It was great.
You have no idea how progressive this has been. Oh, man. You have no idea.
I'm glad. Good.
Please, can you let the people know any information about you or where they can find you or anything
just
like that?
Sharona. You can find me somewhere. That's it.
Cheronna.
Yeah, just Sharona.
And you said, I'm going to drop her email and contact and those things if you need a therapist in this description.
Yeah, Psychology Today, Sharona Babb-Maynard.
Spell the last name?
Babb, B-A-B-B -Maynard, M-A-Y-N-A-R-D.
There you go.
My first name usually. I pop
up. Not that many Sharonas on the
Not at all.
Psychology
Not with a
Today.
C, right.
Thank you, everybody, for coming and listening and diving in. I hope this was helpful for any of those who are seeking love in the newlywed part of marriage, or maybe almost to engagement any day now.
If you want to find us, pay attention, because we got some socials on Snapchat and TikTok. It's at Love Like This. On Instagram is Hoochie Mom and Dad. I am WH_Orlando Roye. My lovely, lovely woman over here is Milah _Mapp. That's on Instagram and on Twitter. And you can find us and listen to us everywhere at Love Like This. And on YouTube at Love Like This. This has been a beautiful space to be in, a beautiful space, an honest space, a transparent space, and a loving space. And I just want to say that I love y'all.
Love you. Love
Bye.
you. Bye.